performing that like 50% of the things are going to be like horribly offensive and you were like kitten snuggles. Turn on. I would like to now ask you all to welcome to the stage an excellent writer and real weird artist, Jordan Card.
Hi, hello? Does that sound good? Good. My name is Jordan, and lately I've been spending all of my free time writing fan fiction. And if you don't know what fan fiction is, it's when you really like something, this already established character or series of something, and you just really like them. You want to see more, so you just keep writing stories about them. And so my fan fiction has been specifically about the character Jubilee from the X-Men. If you don't know who Jubilee is, she's like a teenage mutant girl who like shoots colored lights, and she's like the sassy teen. She loves them all. And her best friend is this old man named Wolverine, who's kind of like this wolf man guy. His like hair is kind of in the shape of Batman's head, and he's like really tough. He has a metal skeleton. So here is my Jubilee fanfiction. Jubilee is a young lady mutant who lives with the X-Men at the X-Mansion. She's a teenager with the powers to confuse people with either colored lights and explosions or vague stories that last too long and seem to have no point. The X-Men waste countless man-hours thinking of new ways to help her get out of their way, and it costs Professor X a small fortune every year in arcade tokens, gumballs, concert tickets, ice cream sundaes, horse rides, and renting out the YMCA every year for a swimming pool party on her birthday. One afternoon, Professor X was balancing his ledger and was shocked when he totaled the Jubilee column. I had no idea, he thought to himself. I had no idea that I was spending so much on jet ski rentals. I could have bought an entire fleet of jet skis by now. Professor X was reminded of the beach trip last summer when Jubilee insisted that the X-Men all get airbrushed shirts with each other's faces. He was instantly struck by an idea. I know, it's time for Jubilee to get a job. The professor found Jubilee in the danger room, where she had just constructed the skate park of her dreams. Sick quarter pipes, gigantic half pipes, a couple of great hole pipes, some grind bars and shit. Professor was already upset that Jubilee had been spending his money on cab rides to the drive-in movies, that catching her abusing the danger room sent him over the edge. I do not believe that I constructed this state-of-the-art training facility so that you could act upon any whim the moment you become unoccupied. Jubilee didn't care about what the professor was going through and was annoyed that she had been caught breaking rules. As she lowered her sunglasses to hide the fact that she was rolling her eyes, Professor X felt another surge of anger. Jubilee, I will not have you lazing about my home, squandering my investments. I have just used my psychic skill to locate a need somewhere in the immediate vicinity. You are to report to the park. Someone has just quit their job walking dogs, and you are to take their place at once. Jubilee laughed. Oh, a job. That sounds like a great idea. She flipped her hair over her shoulder as she turned to leave. She walked down the hall towards her bedroom, casting a glimmer of blue sparks in her wake. I'll finally get some time away from this bullshit mansion. In her bedroom, Jubilee chose a flawless first day of work outfit. She put on a neon pink shirt that said LOL across the front. The O was in the shape of a large X-Man logo that was flanked by two smaller letter L's, and the shirt was extra long, so she wore it as a dress. She chose oversized white socks that she scrunched down over pink high tops, and her signature ankle-length yellow trench coat. She topped off the ensemble by applying a thick layer of bright yellow lip gloss, winking at her own reflection in the vanity mirror. While she skateboarded to the park, Jubilee struggled to come up with stories that would impress the manager and tried to invent a list of qualities and skills, but her preparations were unnecessary. Nobody at the dog park cared about her level of experience or her personality, and they were glad to fill the position and leave early for happy hour drinks and appetizer specials at Ruby Tuesdays. Jubilee was in charge for the rest of the afternoon and took to her new position with enthusiasm, feeling the pride of being trusted for the first time in her life. Plus, the dogs were very cute, and there was no one around to tell her what to do. It was while she was holding a spaniel like a baby and kissing the top of his head that she was spotted by her best friend and X-Men teammate, Wolverine. Wolverine had been on a long motorcycle ride and was stopped at the park because he was hungry and wanted to see if he could catch some squirrels for dinner. Wolverine was shocked to see Jubilee treating an animal so tenderly and could not take his eyes away. He followed Jubilee and the dogs around the park, hiding behind trees and peeking behind corners of buildings. He was able to remain hidden due to his tracking skills and his genetic proximity to a wild animal. While he watched Jubilee give the dogs treats, he thought, Jubilee never gives me anything to eat. And when he saw a dog miss a ball while playing fetch, Wolverine snickered and told himself, I could have caught that ball even if it were thrown way higher than that. The stray ball rolled just a few feet away from his hiding place behind a juniper bush, and when the dog ran to retrieve it, he saw Wolverine and barked, alerting Jubilee to his presence. Oh, hey, Wolvie, what are you doing here? Catching squirrels again? Jubilee giggled and set off a colored explosion several feet above Wolverine's head. Even though his face was still obscured by the juniper bush, beneath the glow of the sparks, it was clear that Wolverine was blushing. Oh, hi, Jubilee. I didn't see you there, haha, said Wolverine as he stood up, brushing dirt and twigs from his wide-legged, stone-washed jeans. I'm so glad you're here. You can help me take care of these dogs. Jubilee held out a terrier to Wolverine, gesturing for him to take it. Wolverine leaned in closely to smell the terrier, who growled and nipped Wolverine's nose. Hey, Wolvie, I think he likes you. Wolverine's gaze traveled past Jubilee and saw a collie squat down to scrape his bottom across the grass, his tail trailing behind him. Hey, Jubilee, let's get out of here. I think these dogs can take care of themselves. I don't know, Wolvie. I'm in charge right now, and... Meanwhile, in Professor X's study, the professor perused his bookshelf, carefully choosing the perfect book to enjoy with his afternoon tea. When he finally made his choice and settled into his chair, he was overtaken by an unsettling chill and the unmistakable feeling that something had gone wrong. Back at the park, Wolverine met Jubilee in line for the carousel and handed her an extra-large cloud of cotton candy. In that same moment, a shadow cast over the park, and wind stirred everything in sight. Jubilee looked skyward in time to see the X-Men's private jet, the Blackbird, descend upon the park. Professor X's wheelchair rolled out of the mist produced by the plane, and Jubilee could almost see the stream pouring from his ears. Jubilee, I come to visit you at your first day of work, only to find you here ignoring your duties, slacking off with Wolverine. And Wolverine, you are much too old for this nonsense. How am I to teach Jubilee the personal satisfaction of responsibility with you encouraging her? Wolverine and Jubilee exchanged knowing glances and cracked up laughing. As she popped a bright red gumball into her mouth, Jubilee chimed in, Hey, Prof, I know you're trying to help, but the only thing I learned today is that working is for the dogs. Even the professor had to admit that Jubilee was right. And after joining in the laughter, treated everyone to cotton candy, large sprites, and a paddle boat ride on the duck pond.